Here we
Angels.
are. Angels. This is one I think we're all just fascinated by, because I think a lot of us have had moments where like, how did I not get hit in that car crash? Or how did this happen that, I think that's what people think of when you think of like angels. You think of like those near death experiences where something just comes in and swoops you away from who knows what. But I think a lot of us, we want to believe in angels. But I think the biggest question is, are they real? What are the types? So I'm going to let you take this one away, because I have never seen an angel.
So, where to begin, where to end? Okay. I'll start with just a few stories then. All right. So when I was on my 2 years of meditation and dream walking, and I was like, okay, so I want to help heal the world. I want to, I'm really ready to dive into my destiny. And I say, and I'm, like I said before, I had studied a whole bunch of religions, and many came to visit me, and we'll get into those talks later. So I'm sleeping, I'm dream walking one night, and my guardian angel comes in, and she gives me acupuncture in 7 points. And when I wake up in the morning, I realize that's where I'm supposed to go. Because I was looking for a teacher, an alive human teacher. And so I was like, okay, so that's where I'm supposed to go, is acupuncture school. When I went into school, I did find the teacher, by the way. And I went to school. What was really cool is when I found out about those 7 points, those 7 points were actually points to calm the shin and, calm the heart and open up your third eye a little bit. And it was a very esoteric acupuncture session that I had. And it was so amazing. I absolutely loved it. All right, so here's a dark one. So my sister and why not, right? So my sister and I are driving down through Baja, there's a dirt road from San Felipe back onto the 1. And we're driving down it in the middle of the night. I don't know, like, let's say somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember. And we're by ourselves. And this one piece of road that's supposed to take 20 minutes, we had been on it for 3 hours, and we're unable to pass the same thing. We kept seeing the same thing over and over. And I just got mad. And so I stopped the car and I started yelling. And I called on all my guides, and I called on, the angels, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And so we got back in the car and we kept driving. We were in some spiritual battles as well. So we'll get into that later. Anyway, so we started to drive again. Within, I don't know, less than 5 minutes, there's these 2 military guys and a dog in the road. There's no cars, no military cars, no nothing anywhere around. And if you've, driven through the Baja, you have to stop for the military, right? Mm-hmm. So we stop. I rolled down my window, and he was like, in Spanish, he was like, don't worry, you're almost there. Just keep going. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, okay.
Of all the things to say.
Yep. And literally within, 2 minutes, there was the main road. And the what do I want to say? The scenery never really changed, right? Because again, it's not a long stretch of a road. It shouldn't take that long, but it took us more than 3 hours, to get through this one little tiny stretch. And it was so awesome. So yeah, that was one of our experiences together.
What did your sister think of all of that? Was she just like...
She's totally in it with me. I mean, she's the kind of person that it's too much for her. So she shoves her gifts in a box. Mm-hmm. And when we were living together for 2 years, it was an amazing experience. I was really able to just dive into all my gifts, all everything. And I had a wonderfully supportive boyfriend that helped me be able to do that. And I remember one of the last days that we were living together, and we're sitting there and we're out at the ocean, because we both talked to the ocean. And she just looks out at the ocean and she was like, it's time for me to leave. And I started crying, and I was like, what do you mean it's time for you to leave? And she's like, you have to go save the world. And I was like, what? I was like, no. I was like, I don't have to do anything. I was like, and I need you. And she was like, it's time. She's like, now you're supposed to be on your own. She's like, I'm just going to...
Like, what am I, Harry Potter? I'm just going to go save the world from
And I was like, I think in the end, I think it had to do with like me entering maybe, acupuncture or medical school or, and she
You
was
had to go be alone to come up with these answers
right.
and not have your sister as a,
I
because
had
there
to
is a point
meditate
where,
more.
people, and I think that that's just kind of universal, where there's a point where people just go, I'm just going to hold you back if I stay here
Yeah.
as much
Right.
as I want to stay here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so hard because she was, you know, the person I'd loved more than anything, since she was born. Like I loved her like my own daughter. I loved her like my sister. I loved her like my soulmate, my best friend, and I use that word. Like we've been
Yeah.
sisters for so many lifetimes. And so it was really hard on me. But I think also in the end was she wasn't ready to jump as far as I was ready to jump. And that's gift wise and spiritually and everything. Because there were some moments when we had our own spiritual battles where, I had to kind of like hold her up, so to speak, or take on what she had to take on so that it wasn't too much for her. And I think she wasn't ready. And that's okay. Like it's okay to not be ready. I don't necessarily agree with putting your gifts in a box, but to each his own. So
Yeah, well, and they say that in psychology too. If you put too many things in a box, eventually it comes out in other weird ways.
yeah. So then, later on in life, back to angels. Later on in life, I ended up, I could hang out with archangels. Lots of them. We just talk, and it's no big deal. But on the road to get there, I've discovered that one, if you're not born with the gift of being able to talk to them or see them, the energy of them is just such a pure light of, and I'll use the word heaven here, such a pure light of heaven that it can be too much, right? So like, let's imagine, I don't know what those things are called, but when you're like in one of those things that like spin really, really fast and like, you're like, I can't, you know what I'm talking about? Come on, help me out.
Hamster
It's like,
wheel?
no, not a hamster wheel. Like, when you go to those, what's the
Oh,
called?
like those bubble things that people do where they're kind of bouncing around?
No, like a theme park. And it's like those gravitational, like, and it's like
Oh,
testing.
yeah.
It's
I feel
horrible,
like,
right? And it makes your stomach
yeah,
upset and you like can't even look at it. You're like, ah,
yeah.
okay.
So
That
if I
thing.
saw an angel, I'd throw up.
No. Well, maybe. But basically when they talk to you or when you're in their presence, like the higher ups, like it's so, and that's why there's like categories of them. When they're in the highest up, like it's so pure energy that sometimes we just can't handle it, right? So we can't handle the sight or the voice, or it's just too heavy. And and we can say it like this: the vibration of us isn't high enough or pure enough to handle it until we train that vibration, or unless we're born into handling it. And that's why, like for some people, like their guardian angel, they might be able to communicate with, because remember, they're just a little bit lower and they can handle it. Or some people can talk to, like, I have one patient and he can talk to like one angel. He has this one angel and they're like homies, right? So, okay, story time. So he, my master at the time had a stroke, and I experienced it as if he did. So, because we have a link. I'm his apprentice. There's like a serious link on it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go in. I'm going to meditate and I'm going to help him. And that was my decision. And I had a patient come and show up. And he was the patient that talks to his angel. And as soon as I opened the door, I hadn't told him anything. And he said, "You're not supposed to help your teacher. You can't help your teacher. This isn't what you're supposed to do. You have to let him do this one on his own." He's like, "Or it'll affect your future." And I was like, seriously? Really? So anyways, needless to say, obviously we're still friends and stuff like that. But it's so funny because like, I'll be like, "Hey, what'd your angel say?" It's fun. Yeah. Ask any question.
Well, so you mentioned the different tiers. Like, how do you know what their names are, or is it
All
just,
of them? I don't know all of them.
but there's a lot of them. It's like an army almost.
I don't even. Yes. Okay, so just so you guys know, once in a while when I close my eyes, I did this thing when I was a kid where it was too much information of everything that I could see. So I made a deal with myself that if I close my eyes, I open myself up to being able to see everything. And if my eyes are open, I see like without the clairvoyance. So once in a while, if you guys see me close my eyes, it's not me
rolling your eyes or
something. I don't know. So I'm sorry. Back to your question. Yes, I would say kind of like army-like. Sure, if we want to use that word. There's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of humans, so there's got to be a lot of them, you know.
So are they just
and that's
like
the lower one?
Do people have their own angel?
Sure, guardian angels. I'm sure some of them take off if you're a bad person. Just kidding. Kind of.
I think there's another question that, because I've heard stories of people like you had where angels will show up in disguise and then they'll just disappear.
Oh, yeah.
Like they'll just show up as a human for a second and then just kind of
absolutely that happens often. Yeah.
Yeah. How would we be able to know? Do they ever give signs?
I don't know how you would be able to know. You would have to be able to talk to them or feel them. Maybe like, okay, so I used to have this one guy, and he was homeless, and every morning at 3:00 in the morning, so when I was going to acupuncture school, I would train from 3 to 7 in the morning, and I would chant, and I would there was a whole things, but you know, I had a dog. So we'd get up at 3:00 in the morning and we walk the dog in downtown LA, you know, where I lived. And so there was
crazy.
So there was this homeless guy that was always with his shopping cart, and he would always walk the same time I would. And sometimes I would end up actually making him food. And, you know, when I'd see him walking, and I'd hope I'd get to see him, and I'd see him walking, and I'd make him this big old pot of stew or whatever it was. Right. And later on, I realized he was actually an angel that would walk with me. Yeah. I mean, go figure, right? Of course. Somebody needs some help, like me and other.
How did you figure that out? Was it just by his energy?
Right. Empath. So then as my empath stuff grew, I could feel it. You could feel the vibration. So at the next level of empath, right, it's not just feeling the senses or the emotions. We actually can feel the vibration of something. And the vibration of him, even when he was far away or where he was at, I could feel it. And it was such a pure light. So
when you get hit with that pure light, I feel like maybe I've come in touch with some, but I'm not quite sure.
Sure you have.
Because it's almost like, so there are some people you meet in this earth where you feel like your heart just expands.
I like that.
Is it kind of like that, where you just kind of go, oh, like my heart just expanded, and oh, that was a nice feeling. It's almost like an addictive feeling.
I would say that might even not be an angel. I mean, it could be an angel, but it could also be, and we'll get into that later, but like maybe deity energy reincarnate, or it could be, you know, one of your guides or your grandpa, you know.
Yeah. My grandpa wasn't going to leave me alone, and I kind of knew that.
When did your grandpa pass away?
He passed away like right after your mom did, like 2 years ago.
Right, that's right. 2018.
2018, June 2018. But he is 98 years old, so he was, you know, he had a long, crazy life, and but there are definitely moments where I feel like anybody who's been doing meditation or anybody that's been trying to follow the metaphysical world, you understand what I mean when I say it's almost like it's an addictive feeling. And I don't know if it's an angel or what it is, but it's almost like you have this moment where you're like, oh, everything's wonderful and perfect. And I'm just like, oh, you feel like all of this love. And it's almost like somebody sprinkles fairy dust on you and you're just like, I feel so happy. And then it's like, it's gone in a second, the minute you have to go to work or something. But it's just like, you kind of get hit with this kind of like, oh, and it's almost becomes addictive. You want to keep searching for that and finding that, but because you were saying pure love in an angel.
But you can find it in meditation, and you can find it when you work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing.
Well, and it's funny because lately I feel like I'm starting to hit those meditations where I'm like, and I don't want to get up this is a good meditation.
I like that.
And
So
but
happy
it's almost
for you.
like it makes you want to stop and just not do anything. I just want to stay here. This is perfect. I love this feeling. But I also heard another psychic talk once about that she was always saying that angels don't have wings for the longest time, and then when she finally saw one, she was like, "Damn it, it has wings!" Because she was like, "Guys, I've been telling everybody this for forever that they don't have wings, that they teleport, and here, damn it." She saw a girl angel, and she has wings. She's like, and I guess the wings are like a symbol of a tier, like whatever tier you are as an angel is like there are different
Makes
colors
sense.
and versions. But somebody was telling me like angels are what keep us from having like because this earth would be a lot harder to deal with if we didn't have the support of angels and spirit guides and that sort of stuff, that we'd all kind of be lost in the water, because we're trying to remember who we are. I guess that's what I heard. I like hearing all of these stories. It gives a good reason. Existential questions first thing. But have you ever seen an angel?
Absolutely. Tons of them. And the archangels, the archangels,
Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. When I saw Archangel Gabriel, I actually was crying so much because the beauty was it was beyond the word beautiful. There's no words for it. Beyond the colors of a rainbow. It's just no words. And I couldn't stop crying because of the beauty. And then Archangel Michael, like he's bigger than my house. He's huge. He's huge. He's epic. And yeah, and I totally believe, like the little angel symbols. Yeah, I don't have anything to write with here. But yeah, like Raphael has his angel symbol, Michael has his, and I totally believe in those. The ones where it's like the circle and then like the lines. Yeah, I can feel their energies. Because sometimes like the more I would practice with herbs and acupuncture, Raphael would like, he's like my homie. So he'd like come in and he'd like kind of like energetic tattoo me. And once I asked my master, I said, "Hey, I want to get a tattoo." And he was like, "Why would you want more tattoos than what God has given you?" And I was like, "What?" And then I realized there are actually prints of like, on me of their mark, So yeah, I get it.
Because they always say birthmarks, they're like getting kissed by angels. That's what my mom used to say, because I have a very gross.
I'd have to look into it. Yeah. You can ask me later. We'll save that one. I have to look.
Also, I heard something like, so you have angels that will just sit outside your doorway.
Why are they sitting out there?
As a way of protection, almost like they're...
I think it would depend on the person and the situation. And sometimes I believe that, when someone is asking for money on the street or whatever, sometimes once in a while, some of those aren't normal people. So it's kind of cool. It's like testing your own heart and judgment, I guess would be the word. I don't know.
So would it always be good to have a couple of ones just laying around in your car if you're...
I'm not saying you have to give it to everybody. So Natalie, I don't know if I ever told you this or not. I think I did. But like
Natalie's one of our best friends.
Natalie's one of our best friends. Hi, Natalie, who may never see this because she's so busy being an amazing mom and daughter and wife. Anyways, so when I was going to acupuncture school, I had no money, zero. And I remember, I had reached a point where I was just like, well, whatever food happens to come to me that today I'll eat. And if I don't eat, I'm okay with it because all my money needed to go to gas. I would travel like 7 hours to get to school. I made sure my dog ate and my cat ate, but that was it, And so Natalie sent me a box of food, like cans of food and everything else. And I'm like, how much did you pay for the shipping? And I was okay, thank you so much. And then she sent me a gift card for Trader Joe's. And she wrote to me, she was like, I knew I couldn't send you any money because you probably would have just given it away to somebody else you thought that needed it more. Like, oh. She might be right.
Randomly showed up at exactly the time when you were like, I don't know, I'm going to eat today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was
funny.
awesome.
Oh my
I totally
gosh.
joined student council because they had free pizzas on like Fridays or something. It's like, awesome. That's one meal a week. Yes. I'm ready. I'll do anything.
Oh my gosh. Um, so I'm trying to think of questions about angels.
Later on, we can have, there's this one lady, she's on my Facebook friends, Rebecca. We can have her come in and talk. She talks to angels too. It's kind of like her thing. I use angels for, I'll give you this one. I use angels for like a protection. So, you know, if you're walking down an alley, you're scared or whatever, and you're having a moment of fear, then I have this prayer that I do for Archangel Michael. Mm-hmm. And a friend taught it to me years ago. And it's just, you know, everybody has their own, but it's kind of like my way I connect to him. So I just say, Archangel Michael to the left of me, Archangel Michael to the right of me, Archangel Michael in front of me, Archangel Michael behind me, Archangel Michael below me, Archangel Michael above me, Archangel Michael, please protect me. And some people say it's, you know, from his net to his protection to, if you want to imagine his color, whatever you want. But for me, it's those words. My words, I've learned that the vibration of my voice can cause from healings to whatever it is I want. And so I do this thing and, you know, he's like, hey, what's up? And then, you know, he's there with me. And I also learned to do one for Raphael for when I'm trying to work on healing, like even if it's for, you know, my dogs or somebody super close to me, and I have time to just dive in on all fronts. So they're there. And go ahead.
So if Archangel Michael is helping you, does that mean he's not helping other people?
No, that doesn't mean that. He's like awesome. Like he's just like you can think of two things at once. He can do more than two things at once. I mean, think about it. He's like bigger than my house. So like, how can he just watch over one person? I mean, seriously. But at the same time, that's why he has like people below him and then people below him. So like sometimes when we call on him, you know, it might get the guardians that are under his, you know, realm or whatever you want to call it, his army, so to speak. And that's okay. They're all looking out. They're all watching over. And we just have to ask for help sometimes, right?
Yeah, I think that was another question because I think a lot of people, you know, feel like they're against the world right now. And I keep hearing it over and over again that from a lot of different psychics, that the biggest thing is you have to ask for help.
Yeah.
They can't help you. You don't ask for it. So.
And then sometimes, so when you ask for help spiritually, I'm going to use that word. And when you ask for help spiritually, you also have to recognize it's going to come to you in other forms. Don't expect like the blue light and wings to come right here. It might be, you know, he told your best friend to give you a call at 8:00 in the morning to, you know, say, hey, what's up? I'm checking in. Are you okay? So.
Right. Yeah. And I've kind of noticed that in my own life where I just kind of have a moment of, you know, if you feel really low, especially during COVID, where I'm just like, oh, God. All of a sudden I get a message from somebody out of the blue. Hey, just checking in. How are you doing? And it's like, when those synchronicities start to happen, and we've talked about this a little bit, where it's like, you know, you just kind of go, God, I could really use a laugh right now. And like my friend Locke will message me. He's one of the funniest guys on the planet. And I'm just like, how did he know? It's like, well, he probably didn't. He'd probably just get it. But he's also a spiritual Buddhist, I think. But he has moments of just like, the ones that I think are more spiritually connected, they have a tendency to kind of pop up right as you need them.
Absolutely.
My mom's the same way. It's really interesting how that all happens. But so if somebody wanted to try to connect to an angel, what's the best way to do that?
You want to hear my words? Meditate, eat slow. I'm just kidding. So,
is there a specific type of meditation? Is there a certain way to look at it?
So, you know, there's these wonderful shops out there and they sell the, you know, Archangel candles. You can light even just a white candle. and just say their name. Have the right intention, obviously. Why are you calling them? There has to be like, why do you want to connect to them? Don't just, what's the word? How do you say it? Don't just ask for help when, there has to be a reason, or unless you're just grateful and you just want to say, hey dude, what's up? Thank you for being awesome. Then that's great too. Cause they totally hear. They're always there. So it can be just saying their name, anything, their color, you wear their color that day. You just feel them in your heart. They're the purest energy there is. And I believe we can all connect to them. We just have to set the intention.
So they're not vengeful. They don't get tired of hearing, I need help every 5 seconds.
Wait, that's two different questions.
So I think the question, I don't want to say vengeful because it sounds like, because I don't believe that anything that's pure of light and heart is going to be vengeful on any level. But what was the second one? Do they ever get tired? Do they go, oh, you've run out of wishes?
Well, they're not genies, but
right. Or you've run out of questions, or you've run out of requests for help. It's like, I'm tired, I'm going home.
I think it would depend on how much work do you do on yourself and how pure you are and how much are your vibration are you trying to do. If you're just sitting there doing nothing and you keep asking for help.
Right. Like you're just sitting on the couch going, hey,
right, it's like that one.
Archangel Michael, give me a Trans Am. What's a Trans Am?
Should have said that.
It's like Archangel Michael, send me a Lamborghini or Ferrari and make this house better. It's like that, but you're not willing to do anything to get there, to better yourself. It's like there is a give and take on this planet. You can't just go. It's like, it's like if Mina goes, I want to become rich and famous, but I'm just going to sit here and meditate.
It doesn't work like that.
Here. Yeah. It's like maybe someday, but it's like not right now while you're sitting and meditating. And it has a way of showing up when you're not.
The more you help others.
Yeah.
You're increasing your vibration, the more you want to show unconditional love.
That's really interesting because my mom was talking about that yesterday. She was like, I feel better when I help others. She's like, that is when I feel like I'm happier or I feel more fulfilled. And I was like, I'm sure this is going to come up in a conversation. And sure enough, it came up today. But yeah, so what are some good takeaways? So you want to connect to angels, meditate more. Always. Chew your food slowly to liquid.
Oh, here. I have one. So when I was in that really, really bad relationship and I had reached the lowest point, I'm not going to talk details about it on our show. But I had reached the lowest point and I actually called to Michael and I asked him for help. And I was like, just so that I'm out this time. If I can get this, this, and this, I will find a way to escape, and he presented himself with presented me with this opportunity. And I did exactly, so if you're going to be like, so I want to do this, I want this, and I'm willing to sacrifice this, or not sacrifice, I don't want to say that, but you know what I mean? Like I'm willing to do the steps, then the opportunities will present themselves. So you just have to open yourself up, but be willing to do the work. And I think Michael's a wonderful one to look for protection. Raphael, obviously, for healing. Gabriel for love. Uriel, if it's more business or knowledge or studying. And then the rest of the list goes on and on. But they're all there. And just know that they're there.
I think that's huge. Just knowing that they're there and that they're just kind of, I don't know, do they float? Are they male? Are they female? Or like, what do they?
Oof, that's a debate I would probably argue with on other people on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I heard a lot of people say that they're beautiful, but they're asexual, that they don't actually have an actual,
I would debate with them on some of those.
And Yeah, so if you want to if you want to connect to angels, if you want something, offer something in return. Either probably, I think the best way to look at it would be like, in order to, I want to get here, and in order to get there, think of some of the steps that could help you get there. If you were to do this on your own, like, uh, and I always think constantly trying to evolve as a person, trying to find more love, trying to find more connection, trying to find more kindness. I think that's been a big buzzword lately. Be kinder to others, give.
And then if you're trying to connect to one specific one, like, and I go back to the gut over guru thing, like there's so many prayers out there for a certain one. There's so many. So find the one that you gravitate towards. Find the one that your intuition, hey, you know what? This is the prayer that I feel inside of me. Or, and I use the word prayer loosely, but make sure you feel it. And don't try to connect it to everyone. Maybe it's just your guardian angel you want to connect to, and that's totally cool. It's like not one is above another. Just find what works for you, if that's what you want.
Yeah, and I think also a great way, and we brought this up several times, the whole idea of making sure that you open up that childlike wonder and imagination to create that sort of magic, that you just kind of go, anything's possible. When I was a little kid, I used to live in Maine, so we were always outside doing stuff and pretending that there were fairies and goblins and, all that kind of fun stuff. And when you start unlocking that kind of, I don't want to say pretend or imagination, but unlocking that really helps a lot with just kind of going, anything's possible. Again, opening your blinders and just being a little bit more open to what's out there. And I think if you get any kind of touch or feeling from an angel, I can probably guarantee you're going to feel it. Because you feel it through your whole body.
Yeah.
And you're just like, ooh.
Angels.
Angel.
All right. So that was angels for the beginning. We'll have a continuation one on it later.
Yeah, this was definitely just an intro because I was thinking of all these questions and I just feel like there are so many, but just knowing that they're out there, that, you can just ask for help. And I'm just babbling at this point.
Love you, everybody.
Love you.